Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to today's maths lesson. And as you can see, we are carrying on with our study into fractions. And today we are going to have a look at things called unit and non-unit fractions. More of that to come later. First of all, let's get ourselves warmed up, and I'd like you to have a go, please, at filling in those sentences and completing those questions on the screen there. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay then, so in the first part, how many cubes are there altogether? Well, you can see that there are 5 cubes and that one of them is green. So 1 out of 5 cubes are green. On the second lot, how many cubes are there altogether? You can see there that there are 7 cubes. And how many are red? Count those up. There are 3. So if we were to put that into that sentence at the bottom, 3 out of 7 cubes are red. Okay, super. Now, that seemed pretty straightforward, but you know what? That's all fractions is when we're comparing parts of a whole. Okay, and that's what I want you to be thinking about today and for the rest of this unit, actually, about fractions. So let's get on with our learning. Here we go. We've got a fraction here that we need to complete. A fraction of the shapes are triangles. Now, you can see there at the bottom, that's the denominator. And you might hear me say denominator, because I remember that denominator is low. The denominator goes underneath. And on top, we have what's called a numerator. Okay, so the denominator says how many parts there are. Okay, how many equal parts there are in that set. So you can see in that set there that there are 4. Okay, like I said, on the top, we have a numerator. Numerator on top, denominator below. How many parts we're looking for? Well, it says here how many of the shapes are triangles. You can see there that there's only 1, so our numerator there is going to be 1. Okay, now you can read that as 1 out of 4 of the shapes are triangles, or 1 over 4. Most commonly, though, we call that 1/4. When we see 4 as a denominator, it's quarters. 1/4 of the shapes are triangles. Let's have a look at these. Our denominator on the bottom, okay, have a think about what it's going to be. Can you work out what fraction of the shapes are green? Well, our denominator on the bottom, we can count up how many of the shapes there are. Okay, the denominator is going to be 5. And then our numerator, how many parts are we looking for? Well, we're looking for green shapes. We can see that we've got just 1 of those, so our numerator will be 1. 1 out of 5 of the shapes are green, or 1/5 of the shapes are green. Okay? Quarter of the shapes are triangles, quarter of these shapes are green. What's the same? What's different between those 2 parts there? Can you see something that's the same? Something that's different? Well, you can see there that both of the fractions have a numerator of 1. These are called unit fractions, where the numerator is 1. Unit fractions always have a numerator of 1. Let's look at this set here. You can see there that we've got some cubes. Some of them are red, some are green, some are yellow. How many cubes do we have altogether? We can count those up, and we know that we've got 9 cubes. Okay? So, can you ever think about what the fractions are going to be? What fraction of the shapes are yellow? What fraction of the shapes are red? And what fraction of the shapes are green? What I'd encourage you to do here is to think about it as how many out of that group are red? How many out of that group are yellow? How many out of that group are green? And think of it like a spelling test. You could have like 6 out of the group. The group in this question is 9. You might have 6 out of 9, 1 out of 9, 3 out of 9, something like that. So let's have a look then. Well, we can see there yellow is really straightforward. There's just 1 of them. 1 out of 9 is yellow. Okay. How many red then? We can see there and count them up. We've got 3 out of 9 is red. And the green, count those up, that's 5 out of 9. Now, I've been saying 5 out of because that's a perfectly fine way to look at fractions, but what you might want to call them is ninths. Like we had fifths before, these are ninths. We also have sixths and sevenths and eighths. Okay? You tend to spit a lot when we're doing fractions. But here we have ninths. We have 1 ninth is yellow, 3 ninths are red, 5 ninths are green. What do you notice happens if we add together 1, 3, and 5? 5, add 3, add 1, we get 9. We had 9 altogether, so we know we've got that right because we've included all the parts. Which is a unit fraction, though? The unit fraction, remember, is the fraction which has 1 as a numerator. Okay, so the unit fraction here is 1 ninth. The other fractions that don't have 1 as a numerator, okay, their numerator is always greater than 1. I'm pointing, I'm not showing 1. They're always bigger or greater than 1. In this case, we've got 1 as a 3 and 1 is a 5. Okay, these are called non-unit fractions. Over here, we've got a unit fraction. These two are examples of non-unit fractions. Pause the video now, go and have a go at questions 1 to 3 on the worksheet. Off you go. And we come back. Some challenges to think of. I want you to show 1/4 on each of the representations. How might you do it? And is there more than one way? Well, let's have a look. We've got this square that's been split into quarters. I know it's quarters because it's 4 equal parts. Wouldn't be quarters if they weren't all equal. But each of the triangles, each of the 4 triangles is the same size. They're equal parts, so I know it's quarters. Maybe you showed a quarter that way. Maybe you showed it that way. Perhaps you showed it that way. Or even like that. Well, you know what? If you showed one of those, you are right. Because they are all quarters. Okay? It's not one more important than the other. As long as you showed one part of 4, you've shown a quarter. Like with the next one, you could have had this triangle, or this triangle, or this triangle, or this triangle. But whichever one you chose, if you just shaded one, you represented a quarter. Now, how about these dots? Perhaps you chose that one, or that one, or that one, or that one. Whichever one you chose, as long as you shaded in just one, you showed a quarter. Okay? Each one of them is a unit fraction because it has 1 as a numerator. Now, what about if you can do 3/4? What might it look like now? Have a go at doing it. Draw them. Shade in 3/4. Well, if you had 3/4, you'd be shading in 3 parts of each shape. Does it matter which 3? No. As long as it's 3 parts of the 4, it doesn't matter which ones you do. Okay? There's lots of different combinations there. These aren't unit fractions, though, like the ones at the top are. These, remember, are called non-unit fractions. A unit fraction has 1 as a numerator, sorry. Non-unit fraction has a numerator greater than 1. Ooh, now, showing 3/4 in these representations, the first one's done for you, and that's really straightforward because there's only 4 parts, and you're doing 3 out of the 4. On the second one, though, might be a little bit trickier because they're not arranged. Well, first of all, there's not 4 of them. So how are we going to show 3/4 of that one? Interesting. Maybe you've got an idea before I show you. So if you want to pause the video now and have a go for it. But you know what I found? I think this would be easier. If we arrange them into rows of 4, Now, can I split them into 4 groups, 4 equal parts? Oh, now I've got 4 equal parts. And how many equal parts do I need to represent? 3 out of 4. Well, there we go. I can represent 3 of the 4 equal parts there. How many circles did I shade altogether? Well, altogether, I had 8 circles, and I shaded in 6 of them. 6 out of 8. It's the same as 3/4. Now, this is the last challenge we're going to do, and I really like this challenge, and I want you to have a think about it. Okay? There's 2 people there thinking of fractions, and they're going to use the digit cards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can only use them once. The girl says that my fraction has a numerator 3 less than the denominator. So the top of the fraction is a number that is 3 less than the denominator on the bottom. The boy says, mine is a unit fraction with an odd number as a denominator. The question is, which card will be left? Year 4, do you want to pause the video now and have a go? As a clue, I'd say start with the boys one. Okay, so, like I said, my clue was to start with the boys one. Do you know why it was a good clue? Because it says he's got a unit fraction. Well, if he's got a unit fraction, we know that his numerator is going to be 1. Okay, so that takes out one of them altogether straight away. So we're only left with 4. Now, the girl said that her numerator on top was 3 less than the denominator on the bottom. So can we see numbers there? 2 numbers that have got a difference of 3. I can. 2 and 5. 2 is 3 less than 5. So I could arrange those. Now we've got this one box left, and we've got numbers 3 and 4. Which one's it going to be? Which one's it going to be? Which one's it going to be? Aha! The boy says an odd number as a denominator on the bottom. Well, which of these is odd? Bang on, it's the 3. Which digit card will be left? It's the 4. You know what, Year 4, I love puzzles like that. Okay, but you know what? We were reading it through, taking it one step at a time. Got there in the end. Year 4, have a go at the rest of the worksheet. Unit fractions, non-unit fractions. Unit fractions, 1 as a numerator. Non-unit fractions, the numerator is greater than 1. Okay, have a go of that. And I can't wait to see what you come back with. See you later.